this topic. Barrister, let's talk of what is happening in Rivers State. Rivers State, excuse me, is I began to see Rivers State as a game, as the Game of Thrones. That is something that the Game of Thrones is actually taking place in Rivers State, because there are many angles to it. We have the federal angle to it, Tinubu, okay. President Tinubu's angle to it. We have the Wike angle, we have the Fubara angle. Now, was it last week or so? Yeah, last week, we had what happened, that the local government, we had the issue, the confusion in the local government system, where the local government tenure expired and the governor had to evict them, forcefully evict them, and probably using tolls to evict them from the secretariats. And we have this back and forth with the House of Assembly between those 27 or 26 members that were that decamped. And I don't know. What can you just define everything that is going on? What is your opinion on what is going on in Rivers State? Because there are so many angles to it, just a lot of confusion here and there, which to me points to the Game of Thrones that is between Wike, Fubara, and even the Tinubu himself, a sort of.
Yes, thank you very much. The issue of Rivers State is, I would not say a Game of Thrones, I would say a game of chess. Each side is trying to move a piece to enable him become stronger as against his opponent. The local government chairmen were elected under Governor Wike, as he then was, and all of them, all but one or two, are his fervent and strong supporters up to today. So when the dispute between Wike and Fubara came up, naturally they all aligned with Governor Wike. The governor at that point, when the crisis started, did not feel strong enough to remove them peremptorily, even though they were elected. Remember, many governors have done that. They have been elected consuls, but as soon as an opposing governor comes, he dissolves everything. Wike himself came and met local government chairmen that were elected by under Amechi, and their tenure had not expired, but he removed all of them and appointed caretaker chairman. But Fubara did not feel strong enough at the beginning of the conflict. He didn't have the House of Assembly behind him. He didn't have the federal government behind him. He didn't feel strong enough to remove those chairmen when his quarrel with Wike started. So he let them be, knowing that their tenure will soon expire. Now, when their tenure was about to expire, the 27-member House of Assembly that belonged to Wike sat and passed the law that extended their tenure by 6 months. And don't forget that 4 members are sitting as House of Assembly in support of Fubara, and the 27 are sitting in support of Wike. So they sat and used the state local government law to extend the tenure of the local government chairman by 6 months. Unfortunately, for the local government chairman and Wike's camp, a state high court nullified the extension, thereby making them not to have any ground to stand on. But they still went ahead and held onto that amendment and claimed that their tenure has been extended and they are not going to leave when the tenure expired. according to the extension. So the governor, who is feeling stronger and stronger by the day, he has appointed caretaker committee chairman, he has sworn them in, and using the power of the people, because the police refused to support the governor, he used the people to try to chase those local government chairmen from the secretariats. That was done. But then the police are still holding on to the secretariat. The police are blocking access to the local government secretariat, claiming to wait for a court order or whatever from the court. So as we speak, police have taken over the secretariat, the local government secretariat in Rivers State. The governor has made an alternative arrangement for his caretaker chairman to continue to sit around the local government. That is where the issues are. But again and again, I have to emphasize that we use politics to an unreasonable level in Nigeria. We don't know where, the politicians don't know where to stop in the interest of the country, in the interest of peace. They don't know where to stop. Perhaps that is the difference between Nigeria and developed countries. At a point, the politicians will give up. They will say, look, whatever you do now is going to be against the interests of our state. Here, we don't do that. We don't know where the politicians will stop. They go all the way once they have a dispute. Because this, like I continue to say, are issues that have been resolved legally. So if we only have fidelity and respect for the law, these issues will not be going on till now. We will not have 4 people sitting as House of Assembly and 27 people sitting as House of Assembly in the same state. There are no 2 houses of assembly in any state by law. So this situation is
now
still...
this issue of this legal tussle. As a lawyer, is I think there's a legal way to accelerate such process that is actually when a state or a country is in serious quagmire, the justices or the judges or the court has a duty, should have the duty to intervene in a very swift manner. So similar thing is done in the US, a sort of where you just usually, if you want to go through the process, it will take some cases. You just file some cases at the Supreme Court. It will take probably 3-4 years before it gets to your turn, before it gets to your whatever. But when there is a dire need for that, when there is serious implication if the matter delays, takes that much time. The Supreme Court just brings something that is supposed to be in years, just brings it forward. Okay, in 2 weeks' time or in a week's time, we'll give our judgment on this or whatever. Are we not supposed to apply? Of course, we should have that. Every system have that. Every legal system in any country has that. But don't you think we should apply this in this case? Especially this River State issue where everything is just hanging in the balance, for God's sake. Don't you think the court should just wade in swiftly and clear all these doors so that everybody will just go back to the drawing board and do what they are supposed to do?
Well, that is an ideal situation, but don't forget, if, for instance, we have just one case or one court considering the situation, considering issues arising from the situation in Rivers, it's possible for one of the parties to ask for what we call, bring a motion to court, ask for what we call accelerated hearing, and give reasons that because of the urgency of the matter, because of the importance of the matter to both the peace, stability, and security of the place, we want the court to hear this case on an accelerated basis. But that is where you have all the issues brought to one court. In a situation where several courts, even outside Rivers State, are considering several aspects of this case, it's difficult to maintain that. A court in Abuja is hearing a matter. 2 courts in Rivers are hearing issues pertaining to this very thing. One of it is in the Court of Appeal. How do you get, you see the complexity of the matter from the angle that different courts are hearing it. Some is already at the appeal stage, some are at the Federal High Court, some are at the State High Court. So it's not simple to say, let the court step in, which court will now step in to say, okay, I will resolve this issue within a week or two. If all the issues were in one court, it could be resolved, being political matter, it could be resolved within 2 weeks. The judge will sit and say, I'm going to abridge the time that the rules give you to file your response. If the rule says 21 days, I'm going to give you 7 days. You 7 days decide, you 7 days decide, file your briefs, file whatever you are supposed to file, and I will make a decision within a week of that. The court can do that. But then you have to reckon with other courts that are similarly considering the matter, over which one person does not have control, one federal high court, court of appeal, state high court, all of them controlled by different heads. So that is the challenge of a speedy dispensation of the matters in Rivers State.
And okay, my last question to you on this is, you just mentioned, of course, so many different courts bringing in there's so many angles to this. Is there no way the Chief Justice can bring decorum to this whole stuff? I don't understand. Honestly, sometimes I just ask this question: why will a chief judge or sorry, Chief Justice of the country just sit back and watch judges just balkanize the entire judicial system without him saying anything? I don't know how powerful he is constitutionally or legally to actually intervene. Doesn't he have the power to actually call judges to order? Does everything has to pass through NJC, National Judicial Council? Is there no way that the Chief Justice in his capacity as the Chief Justice of the country actually call judges to order?
There is administrative procedures for that. During the electoral process, the Chief Judge used to come together with the Chief Justice of the Federation, who is the head of the judiciary.
Yes.
Used to come together with the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court, all the other courts involved, and they come up with a national judicial policy in respect of the electoral process. And then, because the Chief Judge do not have authority to give directives to a head of the court, for instance, head of the Federal High Court, head of the National Industrial Court, the various heads of the state courts, they do this by coming into what they call national judicial policy, in which they lay down the policies. The chief judges of the various courts are now expected to enact them into their rules so that there will be sanity. For instance, there is a policy on ex parte orders. It has been repeatedly taken on that there's need to limit the use of ex parte orders because they are causing a lot of damages. They have that, but the adherence to it is a different thing.
Okay, and now that's my point.
No adherence.
Yeah, that's my point. Sorry, that's my point. Adherence to it. Now, by just going by what you just said, it's obvious that there are rules to this whole thing. But the problem is adherence to these rules. Now, that is why I asked that question. Can't the chief judge, in his capacity as not chief judge, in his capacity as the chief justice of the nation, of the country, of the judicial system, don't you think he has the power to actually call such judges that flout the rules to order, either by way of probably place them on suspension, unilaterally place them on suspension while NJC, National Judicial Council, looks into the matter, investigate the matter, and if the person is cleared, they can reinstate him back. If it's not clear, they expel him from the whatever. My problem is because NJC is a bottleneck. If everything has to go through NJC, the policy organization, anything that has to do with bottleneck has to do with the process. Anything that has to do with the process, it takes time. We all know that. What I'm asking and trying to actually profile as suggestion. Don't we have a system where the Chief Justice of the country can just unilaterally suspend, at least minimum, you cannot fire, but at least NJC is the one to fire, but him, at least you should have that power to, so when someone is causing damage that needs immediate attention, immediate intervention, he in his capacity at least suspend the judge, let him step aside while he's being investigated?
No, the Chief Justice of the Federation does not have personal authority to discipline any judge. He can only do so within the template of the NJC, the National Judicial Commission. So on his own, and there's good reason for it. The courts have heads. Federal High Court have a chief judge that's in charge of the whole Federal High Court. National Industrial Court have a president that is in charge of the whole industrial courts in Nigeria. Each state high court have a chief judge. So they are heads in respect of every court. The Court of Appeal has a president who is in charge of all the courts of appeal in Nigeria. And then in the various divisions of the Court of Appeal, there are heads, what we call presiding justice for each of those things. So the Chief Justice of the Federation has no personal authority to interfere in any of these courts over the head of that particular court.
Yeah, but hold on. Sorry to cut you short. Now, you have broken down, given details of how the judicial system, that is the structure, the leadership structure there. But we all know that, yes, the whole courts, the appeal courts, high court, they all have in a kind of, I won't call it independent, but something close to that, independent heads. But at the same time, they are all answerable. They should all be answerable. That's why we call the Chief Justice of the Federation. As the Chief Justice, he's the head, he's the one that superintends over all of them. My own problem, what you have just said, obviously there is no law to that. But my own suggestion, don't you think it is right for the Chief Justice to actually be able to, okay, let's bring it down. Like let's bring it down. For instance, where we have this issue now, where the issue actually always emanates from, the problem always emanates from the high courts. Now, don't you think that the head of the high court, that is the chief judge of the entire high court, don't you think he should have the power? That is, if the Supreme Court, the Chief Justice does not, don't you think the lower court, the head of the lower court, should have the power to actually call these individual judges to order if they flout the rules, at least by way of suspending them?
But just like I said, that the Chief Justice of Nigeria does not have personal power to exercise disciplinary action. Remember, suspension is also a form of disciplinary action.
Yes.
So he does not have that power over any judge, except within the context of the NJC. At the state level, the state chief judge similarly does not have. Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead, please.
At the state high court, for instance, the chief judge of the state similarly does not have personal control, personal disciplinary power over the judges. He has administrative powers of transferring a case from one judge to another, but he has no power of intervention in a judicial case being conducted by a particular judge. He doesn't have that power to tell a judge to conduct a case in a particular way. However, don't forget that all the judges of the high court, be it state high court, be it national industrial court, be it federal high court, which are on the same level, that disciplinary process is under the NJC, not even the state. Every high court, the state disciplinary, the states have state judicial council that deal with magistrates and lower courts. As far as the high court is concerned, the disciplinary procedure is the one taken by NJC. So if the Chief Justice of the Federation, and within the NJC, it is strictly on the basis of petitions. They act on the basis of petition against individual judges. When they receive a petition, they act, and the process is very slow. And we have criticized it on occasion. I have criticized it on occasion that that body should be expanded and re-energized. And if you remember back then, a justice of the Supreme Court who retired, and he queried the enormous powers of the Chief Justice of Nigeria. So there is a problem in trying to give too much power to one person. There's already argument, how do we balance the power of the Chief Justice against the interest of dispensation of justice in Nigeria? So that is a problem in itself. On one hand, you can desire to have the Chief Justice of Nigeria exercise personal disciplinary control over judges, but then there's danger in that as well. So you have to look at it. The creation of the NJC was a form of trying to give a balanced platform for disciplinary action against erring judges. Our complaint is that it is not as effective as it should be, and it's not showing results. It takes a long time, the process is complicated, and it has not delivered the kind of results that we want to use to sanitize the judiciary.
All right. I think this is stretched enough. Thank you for all that legal response to my questions. Yes, before we move to the next, okay, we have Segun joining us, Segun Onibio, who is a journalist. I think he joined us, he was busy earlier, so he couldn't join us. Now he's on board. Mr. Onibio, thank you for joining us once again.
Thank you very much, JIBRIN. It's good to be here.
Yeah, we've been discussing, we've been talking about the River State issue. So as you heard briefly, you just joined us though, but what the barrister was talking about, we're talking about the legal issue, why we are in this whole thing. Why I asked him if why couldn't the Chief Justice of the Federation actually call all these judges, because we have several issues at the lower courts taking place, different from different angles. The opposition gets one injunction, and the other opponent, the other party gets a different injunction from different courts. Another one goes to the third court gets a different injunction or whatever. That's confusion. That confusion is what is causing this whole problem in River State. It's sort of that if the court had intervened immediately and just set the record straight, okay, this is that and that is this, a sort of, everyone would have, at least by now, River State would have gotten some kind of level of peace, a sort of. Anyway, so that is just it. I don't know if you can just briefly talk about if you have anything to talk about River State, because River State, like I said earlier, I was telling Barrister Manta that it's a game of Thrones. He calls it he called it a game of chess. Honestly, I would rather use that Game of Thrones, because Game of Thrones is more than chess. Chess is not it's a game, but it's not a difficult. It's not something that is there. But when you say Game of Thrones makes it even more important, because Game of Thrones is something that can be dangerous. It's sort of, it can be dangerous, it can take lives, it's sort of. So that's why I call it, because when it comes to power tussle, people die as a result of power tussle, either directly or indirectly, by way of depriving something out of being vindictive or the other. As a result of that, affects people down the line, it's sort of. So I prefer, I think when I chose that word Game of Thrones, I think that's because I believe there is the Tinubu angle. Tinubu is not participating actively right now in that, but I see him coming into play much later. He's doing it in a very skeletal way. He's sort of trying to press one little button. But we have the Wike angle, we have the Fubara angle. I see Tinubu dropping Wike later. But Wike will eventually become powerless. He is going to go. I think I predicted it before, and I still see that coming up very quickly. Sort of where Wike will be what Hausa calls Yaibu Babu. That means losing both ways. He will lose the River State's power, and I think we've lost Mr. Onibiyu again. Okay, he's back. Where he will lose the River State power and lose the federal power. Wike is trying to actually eat his cake and have it by trying to hold on to River State power and trying to get part of the federal power at the same time. But honestly, Tinubu will play him like a chase. It's sort of because while Wike is trying to play smart, he's being foolish and stupid as far as I'm concerned. He will end up losing. He's trying to hold on to PDP and hold on to APC at the same time. This kind of prostitution is just, this kind of serving two masters is just, it can't hold sway. You can't hold sway. You just have to do what you have to do to hold sway. But in this case, he is not doing the right thing. He will end up losing traction with PDP, and at the same time having nowhere he can't find anything with APC. At the end of the day, this guy will just, because every smart politician would actually prefer to work with Fubara, excuse me, with Fubara, who is presently the governor, who is working hard now to actually take control of power in that state or whatever. So that is my opinion on how this thing will eventually play out. Tinubu will eventually pick interest, will eventually clearly take sides with one person, and the person is the governor. Wike will be losing out. What is your thought on this, Mr. Onibiyu? Your mic is muted. You are please unmute your mic. If you can hear me. Okay.
Yeah. Yes, I can hear you.
All right, please go ahead.
I didn't quite catch some of the parts, but I didn't quite get some of the parts, but I think I understand what you're talking about. At least I got caught the last part of it. Whatever it is, whatever name you choose to give it, Game of Thrones, Power Tussle, son and father, whatever it is that we're going to call it, politics in the mud, or whatever it is that we're going to name it. What is important here is that we have two people against each other. One considered the political godfather, the other person considered the political godson, and in the middle of it are the people of Rivers. And of course, we all understand that in Nigeria these days it's quite easy for people to buy Jankara judgments, whichever way that it favors them. I won't be able to argue or give a position on all of this since the barrister has spoken, because the lawyers are the ones who will be able to explain to you what is happening and what should be expected. But it's quite unfortunate that we have this kind of incident happening now when people should be moving ahead. But of course, it is what it is. And this is where we found ourselves in Nigeria. It was the same Wike who was saying some few months ago before the elections in 2023 that is not concerned about godfatherism. That is more concerned about somebody who is going to lead the state to El Dorado. Unfortunately, it didn't take so long for his true character and his true motive to show. And of course, he has an able person, Fubara, to stand against him. As it is right now, following the trends of incidents and the story coming from Rivers, it's quite unfortunate to say that the people are suffering. But it seems that the governor of Fubara is beginning to get a grip of what is going on and is beginning to do what it needs to do. That is removing the stumbling blocks in the local government chairman and the people who are planted at the State House of Assembly to cause him problems and make it difficult for him to govern Rivers properly. Funny enough, while Wike was governor, there was no State House of Assembly. He ensured that nobody sat to deliberate on anything for him, except, of course, people that he chooses. And he would just pass the document to them to sign. Whatever it is that is decided, they don't have a say. All they need to do is just append their signature and it flies. I hope that at the end of the day, we're not going to have a repeat of all of that with Governor Fubara. He seems to be focused and he seems to know what it is that he wants. Like you were saying something about the former governor, Wike, losing on both ends, both at the PDP level and the APC level. It may interest you to know that if you dig deep, you will find out that the APC people don't want him in their political party because they know what he is and what he is about. And unfortunately, the PDP right now are wrestling him to find a way to remove his stooges from the M's of affairs in Wadata House. It is presently alleged that the present sitting chairman for the PDP works for him. Virtually everybody on board the PDP hierarchy right now work for former Governor Wike, and they are at his beck and call. But a lot of people are beginning to come together to see how they can remove his stooges and, of course, pull him also out of this whole setting. At the end of the day, I think it's going to fall on Governor Fubara to suspend him at the local government level, Obiakwa, I guess, where he's from. And once that is done, of course, you can be rest assured that whatever it is that the hold that he has will just remain with Abuja. And hopefully, he'll be able to do what he needs to do. Well, as it is right now, he's doing a lot, completing projects and initiating new ones to impress the president. And of course, if you know the president well, he's also a game player. Yeah. He understands what is happening. As long as he's causing the destabilization that he gets, he is happy. Causing problems at the home front so that the APC can take rivers, and causing problems within his political party in the PDP, hoping that the party will not have some form of coercion. But either he likes it or not, August to September, there's going to be a Congress, and at the meeting, hopefully, his stooges will be removed finally, like it was done in Rivers, and the PDP will have some form of sanity. Unfortunately, everything Wike has said he is not, and he is against, are the things that Wike is doing. And of course, people who want progress will tell you that they are gradually pulling him off everything that concerns their political life, and people are moving ahead. Whichever way it ends, I hope at the end of the day, he would retrace his steps and do what he needs to do, because it's causing a lot of problems, both for himself, the PDP, and even the APC, because the APC scribes are angry that is causing so much problems, and hoping that probably the governor of Rivers State will cross over to APC. But of course, we know how it is in Rivers. It's going to be very difficult for the APC to win Rivers over. Even if they rig it, they also know that it is going to be very, very difficult for anybody who is going to take Rivers to lead Rivers peacefully. Hopefully, at the end of the day, let us hope that the people of Rivers will be the ones who will benefit from whatever the outcome is. And I pray also that the outcome will be peaceful. Because as it is right now, don't think we have come to the end of it with all of these judgments that we're seeing flying around. This is just the beginning. There will be interpretations and misinterpretations and more judgments that will be brought and pushed forward. Hopefully, at the end of the day, the people of Rivers would win and sanity will prevail in Rivers for Rivers State to move forward. My submission.
All right, thank you so much for that. And that brings us to the next topic. We shall be talking about, okay, let's talk about, so much for that. And that brings us to the next topic. We shall be talking about, okay, let's talk about